and welcome back to Garden Goddess Tarot. Today is a monthly roundup video because it has been about 4 weeks and I have stopped. Well, actually it's kind of aligned with the zodiacal shift now instead of the calendar shift, which I'm not mad about. But it'll probably change again because I'll be late and then it'll end up as it was. But it's been about a month since the last one and I got some stuff I want to talk about and some new the things I've been doing has undergone a bit of a shift, as it does around this time of year. When Aries season starts, I get fired up. I turn into fire. The motivation comes from absolutely nowhere and I don't know what to do with it. And you know, for the first 10 days, that first second, I'm like on fire and we're doing this and like, ah! But it's like still a bit too early to like actually get out and do stuff, but it's well underway now. Things are getting accomplished. I got so much to share in the garden outside. And you know, the tarot practice is adjusting accordingly. So that's what we're gonna talk about today. We're just gonna have a fun time. So good. So yes, we are today, first day of Taurus season. Hopefully you all had a fantastic eclipse. Solar eclipse was wow. Wow, like just energy wise it was very that. It's funny, I pulled the death card from the alchemical tarot and it's got a really big solar eclipse on the bottom and it's the kind with the halo that we had too, so it was just like very spooky almost. It was very much like wow. So serious transformations going on. Pluto is moving all over the place right now too, which it's not used to doing. I also pulled a Pluto card from my alchemical oracle. Actually it's right here, I'll just grab it. Did I shuffle him in? Oh, I might have. Oh no, but yeah, it wasn't today. Today's card is Jupiter, so that's some more, a little less distant energy, more like now but big and gassy. And this is something I haven't actually talked about. Let's get right into it. This video is going to be all over the place. I hope that's okay. Anyway, to Jupiter. Jupiter is Zeus for me, right? All of the planets and all of my work with astrology is kind of another reflection of how I experience deity, right? Heavenly bodies, celestial work, they all kind of have a, because of the joys of, I don't know, it's not because of science. Science just goes kind of running with what they were doing, but back then the heavenly bodies were named after deities, right? All the planets are Roman gods, they all have a Greek equivalent, which fits really nicely in my practice, and how they move and interact with each other, and how the connected relationships between all of them in the myth plays out in their like dance in the sky, and it's great. So when I'm doing like tarot has a layer of astrology on it, so it's just another layer of deity work. Like for me, deity work is everywhere. Deity work is kind of like, its fingers are in every part of this that I do, in any of the astrology, in any of the tarot I do. It all kind of comes back to a version of deity work for me, and that's really, having that like central focus for me really ties it all together and like it grounds it, right? Like there is a common thread between all of these different things that I do. And when you're working with plant spirits, right, most of them have astrological associations too, which ties it all back to deity work. So it's just very like pouring everything in the same bucket and working with that way, and it clears so many, it takes the confusion, it takes the overwhelm out of all of the different little bits to find those common threads. And once you're familiar with the mythologies, then you have that extra layer of information to take to those other things. So like if you work on your mythology bucket and you take that information and you apply it to astrology, and then you apply it to working with plant spirits, and you apply it to tarot, it just makes learning all of the other things way easier. So if I was ever like teaching a spirituality course, the first thing we would do is we would go in deep with mythology. But that's just my opinion. So anyway, that's fun. A fun tangent to start off this rather jumbled video. And oh, there's Mercury. I can't find Pluto. But anyway, he's in here and he's been out for the last couple days during the chaos. So yeah, that's what I've been up to, I guess. Basically, the hint there being a little bit of astrology, but mostly the plant spirit work. It's spring. Plants are coming back, so thus my relationship with them has been rekindled, and it is so nice being out in the garden again. I feel as though I am Persephone, hath returned from the underworld. Like, I've been crawling out of the depths of what was the winter. And like, there are good things to be found in the winter. I'm not, like, I dislike winter. I'm working on my relationship with winter. but it's not my favorite. I prefer being here on the earth, working, growing, flourishing, blossoming, etc, etc. So it's just a lovely reflection of that. Working with plant spirits, just being out in the garden, constructing again. I've dug some new gardens already. I've been at it, my back is so sore, but it's like the good sore. There's a whole new garden area there. There's a few around the other side of the house that were just eradicating the grass. Just adding more space to spread stuff out, to really like, my dream is to be enveloped in flower. Just foliage all the way around, a cocoon of green verdant goodness is what I'm after, and we're getting there. We had some pretty major tree work done yesterday, just. The arborists came in, they thinned out some trees to let them breathe some more, got them around the power lines. There was two trees that had passed on that we had to take down. We had an elm tree, with 2 elm trees. There's one in the hill still, and hopefully it stays, fingers crossed. But the other one closer to the house, it unfortunately caught Dutch elm disease and died very quickly last year. Within a matter of weeks, all of the leaves shriveled up and just fell off in the middle of summer. And it was really devastating. The woodpeckers have been all over it though. They've been enjoying the bounty that its death has left, but the tree has finally come down, left a space for something new. And then we also had an ash tree in the similar area that succumbed to emerald ash borer, so it also needed to come down. So we had them come in, cut those down, chip them up. We've got firewood for days now, mulch wood chips for days, so I've got lots of building material. Every part of those trees is going to good use around the home and garden. We're going to get warmth from the wood. We are going to get like practical use and enjoyment from the wood chips in the garden, and it's just another way to honor those trees that have been here a long time. Like, those trees were probably there well before my grandparents even lived here. Like, they were old, so they've always been a part of this place, and I'm glad that the last of them will continue to be a part of this place, and it's really beautiful. So yeah, I've got some new hydro poles. I've been alerted that most of the world doesn't know what a hydro pole is. They're just like our power to the house is, most of it in this area is run by hydroelectric generation. So water, hydro. If you want to go further, Idra. Anyway, Greek. The root of every word is Greek. Anyway, and nuclear. So they all come through a company called Hydro One, and all of the poles holding up the power lines are called hydro poles. So anyway, so we got a few more of those because that storm we had last year, if you remember, knocked a bunch of them sideways, and they were holding on by a thread. So we got those fixed, so I don't have to sleep in fear that my house is going to catch on fire due to electrical issues. So things are rolling right along. So practice-wise, I have been really tucking my nose and my brain into working with plant medicine. This is new for me. I usually, when I'm working with plants before, I've just been in like a learning space with them, kind of not working with them, but just like experiencing them adjacently. For the years of gardening, it's a lot of, you're learning to care for them, right? You get the little plant babies and you have to keep them alive. You have to figure out what it is they want. They don't talk. Much like pets, they do not tell you what they want. You have to kind of know. And it's like noticing the signs of when they're thirsty, when they need water, when they need fertilizer, what kind of light requirements they like, moving them around, caring for plants it's a whole thing. If you haven't done it, give it a try sometime. It's easier than it sounds. Like, it sounds like it's impossible, but when you get to that point where you know how to communicate with your plants, when you like know, oh, my little friend yesterday was thirsty, I gave him some water. You know, that's how you kind of form that relationship, and then on a bigger scale outside with the outside plants in a more like cyclical, seasonal sort of way, the perennials die back and grow back. It's very, very grounding, very, intimate way to build that relationship with those plants. So I've only kind of worked with them in that regard, and then in the last like few years I've been working with them in a like herbal sort of way, so like harvesting, drying, ingesting them as tea, like working with the spirit that way. The essence in its like material form, like the actual matter of the plant, would work in like magical workings or in decor, tea, like things you eat, like the way to kind of consume the plant material and get in and like access to what the plant has to offer that way. But also this year, I'm really focusing on gathering, forming relationships with plants, specifically the flowers and the flower essences. So experiencing the energy of the plant that way. So I've experienced it via like caring for it and nurturing it, stewardship, etc., etc. I've experienced it physically by working with it, like internally, eating, drinking, that sort of thing, making salves and balms and oils and that sort of thing with it, as well as working with the energetic properties of the plant like magically. But now I'm tucking into flower essences and using them in like a more medicinal sort of way, like to treat things, and it's eye-opening. This is a whole different world for me. This is so new, and I'm really excited about it, and so far it's been great, and just another way to kind of really deepen my experience with those plants. So let me show you some things that I've been kind of using to help foster this plant related relationship. This is my cute little herbal grimoire, by the way. Isn't it cute? My mom bought me this for Christmas one time. Anyway, so in here I have my lists of the essences that I've been working with. So I'm trying not to go crazy. There is an official mini, I think like a couple 100 years old system of flower essence medicine that's been kind of worked out by Dr. something Bach. What's his name? Anyway, I don't know. It doesn't say the bottom. But Bach and his 30 some odd, I think it's 38 essences are like the staple basic ones, and they're all flower essences made from trees and plants, and the effects and what those flower energies tap into are well documented and kind of like the universal standard among those working with them. So I've been getting to know them, and I kind of I'm taking it slow because like there's 38. Let me do a quick check. I have the book right here. No need to share misinformation here. There are 38, I was right. 38 different essences specifically from the Bach flower therapy system, and you can combine them for different effects and that sort of thing. When a plant flowers, it's at its like peak health, right? Like that is its magnum opus, is a flower. When a plant flowers, it's achieved what it in this life wants to achieve, right? They want to reproduce. So a flower is a plant's sexual parts coming out and being like, hey, come pollinate me. So when you use those flowers to gather that energy of the plant as it's coming to its zenith, those energies can be transferred via essence, and you can work with them in your life that way. And it's really neat, and it's just an extra layer, an extra way to kind of interact with plants, especially when, like, for example, for me in the wintertime when there's none around. So I'm feeling like this spring I'm going to gather as many as I feel called to. I'm going to get into my study, write down all my personal associations with those plants and how I experience working with those energies, and carrying that kind of forward and just learning more, but slowly. I don't want to overwhelm myself at the beginning because 38 of them is a lot to kind of ingest at once. No pun intended. But if I can take it slowly, one at a time, kind of feel it out, one essence at a time, learn how I like to work with those energies and the ones I like and the ones I need and the ones that suit me and my life the most, then I feel like that's going to be the right way to go. So I've got my herbal grimoire. I am writing everything that comes to me down, like the references from the books that I'm working with, which I'll show you in a second, as well as any like personal revelations about using it, or my own personal associations with the associations already. So like if there's one that is associated with like Pluto or something, then I can throw my personal relationship with working with Hades on there, and the concept of the underworld and what all that means symbolically and that sort of thing. So this is another giant rabbit hole to go down that I can also transfer. So whenever these plants or flowers show up in other ways, like in a tarot deck, for example, I'll be able to tap into that information much more easily and be able to work with it that way, or like know that if, say, I've got a reading that this particular energy keeps coming up in, I can work with those plant spirit energies to help get through that situation, problem, thing. Am I making any sense, or am I just, I don't know. I feel like it's making sense. But anyway, so that's my little journal. I brought over some of the ones I'm working with right now. They're little bottles. They're preserved in brandy, so these ones I have are an alcohol-based one, but if you're not into using alcohol at all, or you've got an aversion to it for some reason, you can also use glycerin. There's some that are preserved in glycerin, like a vegetable glycerin, so that's handy too. So I have a couple. This one's from Persephone's Path, the Yew Tree Beltane Essence, which is my favorite. I don't know why, but this one has been the one I've just been going to. She's written on the bottle here, you are welcome here, you were wanted here, you are a part of this world, you can be both rooted in embodiment and hold unseen realities, and that's nice. And it's, again, and just another one, the yew tree is a tree of death. It is a tree of the underworld as well. It is a gateway tree. It holds big old energy, basically. So I've been working with that one, and it's been good for now. I'm not gonna go into too many details about it, but that one I've been out on for a couple months, just kind of using, and you really only need a couple drops. The way essences work is the more refined and diluted they are, the more effective, I guess we'll say. So you really only need a couple drops as needed, and time to reflect, I think, is the most important part too. Is like, I feel like when you're working with flower essences, part of it is knowing what you're doing, reflecting, and being very intentional with what you choose and why you've chosen it, and taking that time to reflect as well. So that's just my experience with it. I've also busted out the crocus flower essence for fun reasons. Crocus is a flower that is associated with Mercury/Hermes as well, so I feel like this one's important for me. And it's also, this is a like signs of hope kind of one. No matter how long, how cold, how dark the winter, spring will bloom again. And crocuses are the first flower, the first plant that shows its nose in the garden. So it is like that universe, and I know the feeling. That feeling when I see that little green finger sticking out of the ground in, for us it's usually mid-March. I feel alive again. I know that feeling, and that feeling has been bottled in the essence of the flower here. So this is a really important one for when I'm in the throes, if you know what I'm saying. So that's my crocus flower essence that I've been really enjoying. And most recently I've been tucking into this one. It's the Bach. This is the official Bach Flower Remedies. This is the walnut essence, and I have a ton of walnut trees around here. I feel like I work with walnut energy a lot, but I think it's also something I really need, especially with my boundary work that I'm doing this year for my word of the year, which is boundaries. So so yeah, this has been one that I've been using for that. Give me a little bit of a backbone. But yes, so those are the flower essences I've been taking personally right now, thinking about doing the thing. And the books that I currently, other than just like regular plant books, I've got a couple here, the 2 modern herbals, and those other 2 on the bottom are Barbara Walker symbols and myths books, but they're good, but not relevant to this conversation. The other one is one I picked up in November, but I've only recently kind of started looking into, and this is Flower Essences from the Witch's Garden by Nicholas Pearson. It's got a really good foreword by Christopher Penczak. Plant spirits in magical herbalism. So it kind of takes what the Bach flower essences are based on, which is really like kind of a clinical perspective. It's not not particularly magical. It's clinical. It's very like, you feel like you're reading a psychology textbook when you're reading the Bach stuff. But this one takes it, gives it that like familiar to me magical perspective that I really relate to. It also has way more than 38 listed in here, so it has your like baneful plants and stuff. So the Bach system doesn't have yew, and I don't think it has crocus, but like we all know that we can work with any flower energy, and it has a lot of really great associations for that. So 100 flower essences in the back here, and it gives you their name, their Latin name, elemental signature, planetary signature, zodiacal signature, chakra, magical uses, therapeutic uses, and then gives you a rundown of the plant. So it's really useful. I really like this book so far. It's very handy. And then in the beginning it tells you how to make them. Very good. Easy to make. So easy to make. I've got some violet ones just going to the kitchen table right now. Just to catch that morning light. It's going to be a morning light violet essence. Oh, it's going to be so good. Anyway, it's on the it's on the kitchen table right now, and it's already got the little bubbles forming in it and everything, and they're just so sweet. I do an offering to the Theia every spring. I've got this tree stump that is a portal. It's a portal. You can't convince me otherwise. Anyway, there's a little shelf in it, and I always pick some of the first violets that come out in the lawn or the garden. They're kind of everywhere. I love them so much. They smell so sweet. Anyway, I pick them and I put them in this little shelf in this tree, and it's a whole thing. So anyway, I had an extra handful and I took them inside. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna make a morning light flower essence out of this, and I'm very excited. So that one's cooking away right now, and I'm excited to bottle that one up. But anyway, this book is really good, is what I'm saying, if you're looking into learning about using flower essences in a magical sort of way. So that is Flower Essences from the Witch's Garden. Lots of great information, fun times. And then the other one that I picked up, both of these I bought in real life. I was at that one came from Chapters/Indigo, which is like the Canadian version of Barnes & Noble, I guess, which is funny. And then this one I got at a place called Odyssey, which is like the best witchy shop ever. Anywho, it's Advanced Bach Flower Therapy, and this one has a rundown of the 38 Bach essences and what each of them individually denote, as well as the combos of them. You could also reverse look up things in it too. So say for example you are really let's see, if you feel like the victim, you feel like you're self-sacrificing a lot, then it'll send you to like the specific essence that would help with that. What's another one that you could reverse look up? Timidity and fear, you can go that way. And like specifically like thoughtlessness and egotism towards others, it tells you to grab some holly and impatient essence. Like, and then it tells you right here, holly minimizes aggressive behavior while impatience works against impatience, obviously, which is so funny. They're one of my favorite little flowers, little impatience. Anyway, the name, right? Very, very aligned there. Anyway, which causes thoughtless behavior. So for me personally, when working with flower essences, it's not something I'm going to want to like take to other people. This is just something I'm working on with myself. How I know myself, things I personally want to work with myself. I don't think I'm going to ever be a practitioner of this. So I'm not gonna like, I've never diagnosed someone with like thoughtlessness and say, go take this. It's like if you feel for yourself, you want to do that, do this. But like there are registered people who do this. So like just take that into account. Like, right, this is like all of our personal development work, right? Like nothing is diagnosed. We're just exploring ourselves using plant energies and that sort of thing. So that's another reason why I'm taking it slow. I don't want to just like take everything and then get overwhelmed and that sort of thing. But it's yeah, it's not something I would ever like tell people what they need. It's a like, you know what you need, or you figure out what you need kind of thing. But like, or just, you know, explore at your leisure kind of deal. So but yeah, this one here is Advanced Bach Flower Therapy, the Scientific Approach and Diagnosis and Treatment by Gottsblum Medical Doctor. So yeah, it's a very, this particular realm crosses some weird lines, and it's very interesting, but I like kind of holding on to it from a more magical perspective. Like if there's an energy I want to work on, I will use it. If there's something I want to kind of focus on and harness or reflect on or like sit in that energy for a bit, I will use it, as opposed to like seeing it strictly through a clinical and medical perspective, if that makes any sense. So anyway, that's my kind of plant spirit medicine work that I've been dipping my toes into. I am not an expert. I know nothing. I know nothing, but I'm learning, and it's really fun, and it's been really, really enriching. And I did pick up a deck to kind of go along with it. I've been keeping my eyes out for a good like a Bach 38 flower essence deck. I know there's a few around, but they're kind of expensive to get to me in Canada. I think there's a bunch in the UK. The like Dr. whatever Bach, I think it's Edward, but I'm not sure. The system was formulated in the UK, so a lot of the stuff is still over there. But I'm looking for a good like 38 card deck of theirs. Any recommendations, shoot them down below. But also I did pick up this one, which is the, again, Christopher Penczak, same guy that wrote the foreword for the book. Magical Botanical Oracle. I think that's right. And this one, it's more like specifically witchy plants, but they're absolutely gorgeous. I haven't been working with a lot. I did an interview spread and it was good. It knows. But the art is beautiful. The book is beefy and good, but oh, there's a rose card. Isn't that great? Delightful. I don't think I'm going to use this one for divination specifically. This one's going to be a, like, again, working with plant spirit energy magically. As I say, ooh, it still feels weird. I'm not entirely out of said broom closet yet. I'm just doing my thing. I don't like labels. I never really have. I just, you know, do what I do. But most of these are like the fun baneful plants, and it's very like familiar in a like witchy magical perspective as well. Here's our yew. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh my goodness. I love it. Yew trees are often found in cemeteries too. They plant them there a lot. So you kind of get that like tie between upper world and underworld in that sense too. And it's super poisonous. Those berries, man. So I've got a couple yew trees actually growing in the garden right below me. There's one on this side and there's one on that side. So I think they're both male though, so I don't get the berries. Pretty sure. Okay, here's hellebore. Oh, see, I love them. I was just talking about them earlier. So good. But isn't that anyway, it's very, these are beautiful. They've got gorgeous associations on them, like here Helianthus, which is a sunflower, and Helios is right on it. Yes. Love that. I should plant more of those. As a Leo, I am ruled by the sun. I know how much the sun means to me, but I have an aversion to yellow, like the color yellow for some reason. I always have. And I don't know what it is. I should love it. I should bask in it, but especially in the garden, I'm like really fussy about, I don't like red, I don't like orange, I don't like yellow. I tend to like the cooler colors like pinks, purples, blues, and you know, green in abundance. But there's some daffodils that I've left. They were my grandma's. They're still here. There's a few yellow tulips kicking around still, and I'm coming around. I'm coming around to yellow, but it's just, I've got to be delicate and ginger about it. I don't want to rush into it. I just, taking my time with yellow. But I think the more I develop that relationship with other yellow things like the sun, Helios, see it more in that perspective, whatever it is about that yellow that I distaste for, I will work through. But Bleeding Heart, Dicentra, this is on the list of to pick up plants this year. There's some in my mom's garden I'm going to steal a chunk of. Well, steal, but you know, she offered me to take, like when you separate perennials, I'm gonna take a chunk of that, and I've got a spot for it in the new garden. It's gonna be really pretty. Beautiful. Anywho, yes, so this deck, this Magical Botanical Oracle, has been kind of fun to play around with, but I think the majority of the work that I'm going to be doing with it is forthcoming. It's also living in this really adorable bag. Isn't that cute? I picked these up. I ordered them a few months ago from Crystal Haven. Is that correct? Oh, yes, I think so. Crystal Haven UK on Etsy. I got two actually. This one is the first one, and we love a snake motif around here. They're silk lined. Like they're kind of expensive, I will say. If you don't want to keep your tarot decks in bags that are, you know, bags. I need to learn how to make them. Like I feel like a square is pretty easy to make, but the embroidery on these is like next level, and they're silk lined and they have like gorgeous beading on them too. But yeah, this one, it's really beautiful, and just it you know, feels of magic. So that one lives in there. And I also picked up this one, which isn't that, yes. Anyway, my Hellenic Oracle, the new edition and the expansion, that is my copy, live in here. So it's I felt, for some reason, I felt like this lion was very, I don't know why, I just felt like they went together really well. And this one, the lining is like this beautiful, like greeny, tarnishy gold color. So good. Any others like that? I feel like it goes. What do you think? Does it go? Let me know. Who'd we get? Oh, interesting. Prometheus and Epimetheus were right next to each other. What? Prometheus is like the creator of humans. He molded humans out of clay, and him and his brother kind of did it together, but Prometheus gets all the credit. But anyway, it's because Epimetheus, he's forethought, right? He's like, you know, thinking ahead, giving humans fire, doing all the things, and then Epimetheus is afterthought. Like Mr. Clumsy Brother doesn't really know what's going on, kind of messes things up all the time, but it's just kind of fun that they're together. So this is actually Prometheus in the Epimetheus card too. So we got double Prometheus action. But yeah, he's always associated with fire. Okay, hold on. We're just going on about the sun and fire. And here we have a big lion on the front of this, which is the symbol for Leo, which is me. Okay, things are things are making sense. Tying together, so yeah. Anywho, just rolling things around in my brain. But anyway, it's just interesting that they were right there. Brothers of creation. But you gotta watch, because sometimes creating things can get you into trouble, because the second half of that myth where Prometheus got in trouble for giving the humans fire, and he got basically just for not listening to Zeus, and Zeus is kind of in charge still, so anywho, he got tied to a mountain and an eagle pecks out his liver every day, and because he's a god it grows back and he has to live in constant suffering for what he has done. And it's just an interesting thing to think about. As Prometheus's myth is, there's a lot. He's a big one. He's not a one-dimensional god in any respect, but I do like him for that. But eagle or vulture pecks out his liver. In this particular depiction it is a vulture, but sometimes it's an eagle. But I love how perturbed he looks in this particular card. He's just irritated. Here's the vulture. He's like, hey, I'm here for my snack. And he's just like, oh, not again. But anyway, a time of reflection whilst in pain. Yes, so that is, yeah, so that, anyway, what I was talking about were the bags that they came in. Crystal Haven UK on Etsy. For me in Canada, they were about $40. I think they're less if your money isn't as stupid as ours at the moment. And then you don't have to pay for shipping as much as we do, but yeah. Love them. They're gorgeous. And especially for special decks like these, I like to honor the things that I use, like the tools that mean the most in a special way. So I do have a couple of particularly nice bags that I keep my particularly favorited decks in. So it's just, it feels right for me. So those are those. So I guess we'll just do like a quick the vibe kind of deck roundup at the end too. There's been a few others I've been kind of using regularly in my like tarot reading practice. Obviously the Ritual Tarot has not left my side. If you watch my Instagram stories at all, Garden Goddess Tarot, you can find me there if you want to chat, hang out. It's a fun time. I pull a couple of cards from this every day, every other day, often. It is fantastic. I love it. I will never get over the way these images make me feel. This deck has been with me places. It has traveled in a backpack across the world. It has been through it, and that it's only the greater for it. Like, she's well broken in, shuffles well, no complaints, so great. And I'm eagerly anticipating the oracle that she's making. So if you're not familiar, Tierra May is in the process of creating a, not necessarily companion, it'll be like a separate whole thing, oracle deck that it's very much her art style, very much hand-cut collage, gorgeous. It's gonna be called the Mythos Oracle. Like, it just gives me tickles through my whole body. And the preview cards are good and great, and it's gonna go really well with this, among other things. So that's been the vibe lately. This deck is worth, to me personally, more than I even paid for it. It's priceless for me. May not be for you. There's a lot of people who don't like it, and that's fine. There's a lot of decks I don't like. But this one, you know, just fits so well into my practice that I can't not talk about it. So I'd be lying if I said I wasn't using it all the time. I'm using it all the time. And if anybody's unsure, I did buy it myself. I purchased it myself. I know full well the financial implication of inviting it into my life, and for me it's worth more than like 10 mass market decks, you know, so. And it doesn't even cost that much, so. As much as 10 mass market decks. And like, you guys know, for me, it's invaluable. And I'm here to share my experience with the tools that I use and the way that they kind of take me through this maze of a spiritual practice. And it's just, if I didn't talk about it, I would be being disingenuous. So another deck that kind of found its way into my life recently is this one, and it's kind of really cool, and I've not seen anyone talk about it before. This is the Initiatory Tarot of the Golden Dawn, and this is one of your like classic Lo Scarabeo decks, which for some reason sit really well with me. I just love I love old Low Scarabeo decks, and this one's not that old. I thought it was older when I got it, but I think it's only 2019. It's artisted. The artist is Patrizio Evangelisti, and it just gives like classic Low Scarabeo vibes, and I'm into it. So here, give me 1 second. My battery's gonna die. I'll swap it out and then show you some cards. Alright, here's the front of the box too. Isn't that cute? Look at him with our magician there. His big old floppy hat. I love it. Great bags. So this one is a very Golden Dawn deck. When I say that the RWS and the Thoth are... They're like the same. I have a harder and harder time kind of differentiating the two of them. It's because they're both rooted in the same Golden Dawn tradition of tarot. They're both made by people within the Golden Dawn, so all of the associations are the same, right? There's a few like keywords maybe have been changed, but the energies behind those keywords are the same, which is interesting, especially with the Six of Swords, right? It's like, what's going on? How is the Six of Swords the same as like science in the Thoth? But when you break it down and you see the reasoning behind either of them, it's like these two different kind of energies are created by the same combination. It's very interesting. Anyway, you know, if you've been down the tarot rabbit hole. Anyway, they're all based on the Golden Dawn tradition, which is, you know, Book T, the original energies that all of the tarot cards are based on. Anyway, give it a read if you haven't had a look. This is kind of a that. So this is a beautiful mashup of both of like, you would consider it like a mashup of Thoth and RWS, but it's really its own thing. It's just another Golden Dawn deck, right? It's another perspective on the Golden Dawn, but it's obvious you can kind of like, in the book, it's funny, in the little white book, it says specifically that they wanted to find an artist who has never seen like a RWS or a Thoth deck before, and they wanted to get their like pure... So they were reading the Book T descriptions of each of the tarot cards, and they created the images like sight unseen, which is very interesting because you can really see, like, it's very, I feel like they are at least mildly familiar with both Crowley's deck and Waite's, right? Like they're, anyway, I'll show you some cards. I'll also do a little overhead shot for you too. It's got the kind of the Thothy quartz. So it's Prince, Princess, Queen, Knight as well. Oh, and something else very interesting is I haven't sussed this out yet, so I don't tangent much, but in the court cards, there are what appear to be constellations, very intentionally placed stars in the sky, and I need to do some, like, me and my constellations are not, I'm not really good at identifying them. I know a couple. I know Boots or Bootes. I know my Leo one. I know Orion and that sort of thing. But like the zodiac ones, I'm not as super familiar with. Aries is easy. It's just like 3. But yeah, I think the zodiacal associations of the court cards. So like each court card is 2 and 1. So like 2 of one sign and 1 of the other. I think they might be in the constellations on them, but I can't be sure. I haven't detected that yet. I just see some very intentionally placed stars that I would not be surprised had some significance. Just saying that. But like on the Cups card, you've got the lotuses at the bottom, but it does kind of have the Rider-Waite-Smith hand coming out of the sky business. What's another? And for example, the princesses don't have the stars in the background, and that's because they don't have astrological associations because they're the earth of that suit, right? So I don't know, it's very, so like Princess of Swords, she's like just in the clouds, very, you know, I don't know, this is very, this deck has made me think in a fun way that I haven't in a while. The Death card though, very RWS, but we've got an eagle in the sky, which is Exalted Scorpio. So there's that, you know, like the bits are there. They're subtle, but they're there. And like, I don't know, a little like that would be a nod towards what I would like, or people would consider to be a Thoth deck, right? I love the Sun card. Okay, so we have, it's on first glance looks, so you got like the 2 kids dancing like in the Thoth deck, right? But there's the walled garden again, but it's not a wall. It's a labyrinth. And then we've also got like a minotaur skull hanging on the side of the labyrinth. We get our mythology taste there. And then there's, oh, what are those? Those are wax wings. Are those Icarus's wings? What? So good. And then there's our blazing sun, right? So we've got like the cautionary tale of Icarus and the sun. So like it's not just like sun is happy, sun is great, sun is everywhere. Sun is also dangerous. Sun is also do not fly too close to the sun. You know, like there's that, it's both aspects. It's the positive and the negative of the same card, right? Like, because all the cards contain multitudes. They contain both. They're neutral, but they also carry that positive and negative energy, like the sorry, I'm just so excited. And then there's a bunch of yachts floating in the sky too. So I love that card. That's such a good card. Oh my gosh. So anyway, they just kind of keep going on like that. Like, it's just a great way to kind of think about tarot again, and it's unique and different. I don't know why no one's talking about this deck. It's so cool. And like, as I said, the backs are wicked. Rosy Cross. Tree of Life in the middle. We've got elements around the outside. There's all of the Hebrew letters there. There's all of the suits within the elements. Around the outside, we've got a caduceus. There's an Eye of Horus, elemental signs, crosses. Like, it's so good. Anyway, so this deck is a treasure. And here's another one that's a good example of a Thoth kind of interpretation. So you have the cups pouring into one another, like with the lotuses and the water. There's our Three of Chalices. So it's okay. Well, we'll finish off with the Strength card. I can go on all day about this one. I might, if you're interested, let me know. I'll do a walkthrough and tell you what I think. And if I want to know too, specifically, if you've heard of this deck or if you've used this deck, please let me know down below. I'm very curious. But here's our Strength card, and that is the gnarliest lion I've just about ever seen. I love it, and it has like that touch, just a touch of the lustiness. But for the most part, it's like it's not a Thoth deck. It's a Golden Dawn deck, so it doesn't go full Crowley, right? It's still very just Golden Dawn. This is Leo, right here. So into it. Gosh, she's hot. A little ginger, so nice. Anywho, that is the Initiatory Tarot of the Golden Dawn. The little white book, you gotta kind of know tarot. I feel like in it, it's your standard little white book of 6 English pages, which is fine. Let me just read you. I'm gonna read you the Strength because we were just on it. Strength, which is at, also noted, Strength is 8 in this one, not 11. So it's more of a weight style in that regard. But the reason that Strength is at 11 is because either Marseille, which is not a Golden Dawn style, or Crowley switched them because of his weird loopy astrological path, because the Star and the Emperor get messed up. But we're not going to talk about that right now. Anyway, okay, the Strength. Or Strength. Energy, work, courage, fortitude of the soul, desperate defense, and then there's a negative, like if it's reversed, impulsiveness, wrath, stupid recklessness. So it's very keywordy, this little book. There's a cute, like the intro is good, talking about, there's a little bit about the Golden Dawn, the first Golden Dawn decks, and then how this deck was, how I said, found an artist who was not familiar with tarot and just had them draw based on book T, or Liberty, which is interesting. And then you get right into card meaning. So like this, you gotta kind of know. You gotta have a. It's funny that they call it the Initiatory Tarot into the Golden Dawn, because if you're an initiate and you're like don't know what's going on, you're gonna be even more confused. Like, this is what, but can be used as a regular tarot deck. You don't need to be familiar with all the symbols, but if you are and you like to dig a little bit deeper, this is a treat, a feast for the brain. So, Initiatory Tarot of the Golden Dawn, very fun, a good time. Cute. Wow. Why do I take so long talking about tarot decks? Blah. So that deck has been a bit the vibe right now. I always like to have a little something to kind of keep my like head fresh in like the Golden Dawn tarot perspective, because I like it. Not a lot of people do. A lot of people push it away. A lot of people don't want it, which is fine. But I really like it, and I really like all of the layers of associations within it. So I like to use that, and I always like to have one Golden Dawn deck that I'm focusing on at any given time. That seems to be the one for right this moment. I'm also really loving everybody's deck and walks. I've kind of been like, not really following along, but like paying attention quietly and sideways. Because after finishing a like year-long deep dive into it, I'm like, a little break, but like, it's a nice refresher to watch everybody else go through. It's just so good. So we just finished up the Four of Wands. So good. My completion card. Venus and Aries coming together. It's so good. Anyway, and then now we're we're heavily situated in the Five of Pentacles, the first decan of Taurus, which is worry. But it's fine. It's great. It's always a good time. So anyway, that's I just love watching everybody's decan walks and how excited people are getting about a new card every 10 days and getting more familiar with the astrological associations of tarot, because that's why I'm here. I'm here to to make you learn, or to help you learn. Not to make you learn. You can learn if you want, but like if you want to learn, I will encourage you forever and always. Okay, and the other kind of cards that are making up a big part of like the current vibe are collage decks and like vintage. Vintage. Oh, I guess a couple of them are kind of old. I've just a collage moment, right? Maybe for me, the spring is for collage decks. I know they're great all year round, but I feel like I really gravitate towards them in the spring. I mentioned in the last video that I did do a nice mod on my Voyager Tarot. I also have the old book, the James Wanless one, and it's pretty good. The astrological associations of it are a bit weird. I haven't wrapped my brain around it quite yet, but if I take a step back and don't look at those and just use it as like a tarot, it's great. And I'm really glad I chopped all the borders off of it. It just improved this deck greatly. Actually, you know what? I'll just do an overhead shot for you. It's fun. I like that I can dive right into the cards. I don't trip over the border. It had a keyword and a title, and that was kind of a lot, and I was getting stuck on those. So instead of like intuitively diving into the image, I would just like sit around the edge, waiting at the edge of the pools, kind of looking at it instead of going in. And now I can just go right in and, you know, more freely take what I know of tarot into what's going on in the imagery with me, and it's working really, really well. I really quite enjoy it. And it's a fun little square size now. It's little pocket chunk, little chunk. And the backs didn't get messed up too bad. Anyway, I've been liking this one. It's been fun. So that's a great classic, nice old one. Is that a 70s or 80s deck? I think it's 80s. Screams 80s. One that's a 70s deck that I've been really enjoying is this one, again, which is Morgan's Tarot, and hand on heart, I almost got rid of this. It was in my to declutter pile. I was gonna sell it because I just wasn't using it, right? I hadn't found what I wanted to use it for. Like, I knew it was fun, like I liked how the cards are silly, how they're not attached to any real system. They're just kind of that, like, they really like hippie free love kind of vibe, but also mess with your brain a little bit, challenge the man, it's fun. It's a really fun deck, and it is a vibe. And finding the meanings in the guidebook is also an adventure, which I've come to really enjoy. Like, I can't, if I'm in a hurry and I want one of these cards, I pull it out and then I'm like, no, I need to take like 3 minutes to go through this guidebook to find what I'm looking for. And that moment of like, it's literally making me stop and take a moment to reflect to find what I'm looking for. Beautiful. It's part of its charm and its joy, and I really like it. So Morgan's Tarot I've been using with the Voyager Tarot. I've been using it with basically any of like the vintage collage decks. I find it just goes really well energetically with it. So that one's a treat. I'm not gonna talk about it too long because I'm sure you're familiar with it. But it's just from the 70s, and there's a few like modern takes on it. I forget what they're called. One might be like a liminal space something or other, but you can't compete with the original. So I've been using that one. It's been fun, and I'm very glad that I didn't accidentally get rid of it. Not that I could just find another one. They're readily available. It's another mass market joy. Alrighty, and the last couple that kind of fit into the vibe category. Another collage deck. Spring is for collage decks. I did manage to pick up a copy of Runners of the Sun Oracle. I saw this first on Janaki at Catamancy Tarot's channel. If you are not already following Janaki, do yourself a big favor and go check out her channel. She's amazing. Amazing deck taste, amazing nuance. She knows how to talk about tarot. I just have such a fun time on her channel. Anyway, I first saw this on her channel, and the reason that I was like, I think I would like to work with this is because she specifically compared it, like card by card for most of it, to the Road to Nowhere Oracle, which is an out-of-print oracle by Spirit Speak that I have wanted for a very long time, and it's not in print, and it makes me very sad. And even if it was in print, she doesn't ship to Canada, so it makes it extra difficult for me to get my paws on it. Anyway, this was similar enough in kind of theme and keyword and energy to that as I feel like I would ever get. So I jumped on it. This is by Amelia Rose, and she's a tattoo artist out of Los Angeles, I believe. Pretty sure. Amelia Rose Tattoo? Yeah, Los Angeles, California. So it has very much that like summertime California vibe. This is the newer edition. The original edition was first created in 2018, so it's a few years old at this point. But it has that really like vintage vibe about it. I'll show you. It's got a fun wonky font. Actually, it's the same color as like almost the borders of the Voyager Tarot word that I chopped off. But it's just a beautiful collage oracle, and I don't have very many collage oracles. I'll do the overhead pictures because I feel like those look better. Anyway, I have the Tantra Dakini Oracle, which is great. I love it. It's wonderful. But sometimes I want something a little less that. That's not a good descriptive word. This was more, I don't want to say more generic because generic sounds like a bad word, but it seems more like universal and applicable than the Tantra Dakini Oracle, which sits very much in its own kind of energy. This is a broader focus, a broader theme, a broader perspective than the Tantra Dakini. In its own way. The Tantra Dakini kind of looks in on itself and goes woof and opens even further. So anyway, this one is, I love it. It matches so many of the other oracle or collage style tarot decks, as well as the more vintagey ones. It evokes lots of fun emotion. I don't find I'm tripping on the borders for this one. There are some challenging cards. There's some happy cards. They have the feels. It's beautiful. Well made. It's that like shushy mat again. You hear that? Lovely. I do like that. It's gilded. It's unnecessarily gilded, but it does tie into the backs really nicely, which are very cute. Which the echoes of the sun card on the tarot as well. The meanings in the book are fun, and I do particularly enjoy the first page of the guidebook, which gives a list of different definitions of the word runners, which I love. And I love when we explore language that way, where it's like, this is a word, but it can mean like 9 different things while still being the same word, and I love that. Anywho, this is a treat, and I really like it, and it's very much the vibe right now. And let's, because this seems to be the theme of this video, finish up on the sun card, which I like, obviously. Yes, I think I am coming around to yellow, slowly but surely. I think I've got to like creep through like the mustard shades first and like those golden yellows and really like get familiar and like learn to love them. And then I can be brave and try the more bright, vibrant primary yellows, but we're getting there. It's a work in progress, guys. So that is the Runners of the Sun Oracle by Amelia Rose, which is very cool. And then I saw this one on Meg's channel, and if there ever was a silly little tarot deck for a silly little me, it was this. And she's 1000%, and when I say Meg, I mean Meg at Rose Honey Ritual. She's 1000% correct when she says this is like the most tarot-y tarot she's seen in a while. It plays with the fun, really like spiritual concepts of tarot in a silly and fun way, and it's so great. So this is by artist Wayne Olson. Oh, Wayne Olson. It's called the Dang Olson Dream Tarot, which in my head, whenever I think of it, I go, dang Olson, dream. Like that's how my brain wants to say it. Like, come on, dream. Dang Olson. Anyway, it's fine. Backs look like this. Very beautiful, vibrational, visual depiction of energy kind of vibe on the back. And the cards are a riot. They are full of color, they are full of pizzazz, they are sassy, they are silly, and I can't really say anything about this deck other than what Meg has already articulated perfectly in her video, so I will direct you towards it for more detail. The chord system, like not system, but like the choice of words for the chord cards in this is perfect. Specifically the pages, which are called goofs. All pages should be called goofs from now on. It lightens, because like for me personally, I take tarot kind of seriously, to my own detriment almost. Like, I tend to work really seriously with tarot. That's where I get the most deep and like important meanings to myself. But I need to learn to lighten up a little bit, and this is the perfect kind of deck for that kind of business. This smiling, silly, happy-go-lucky little dude that is just wandering his way, stumbling his way through the universe, is like the perfect reflection of the attitude I definitely need to take on more often, and I love it. Like, he's just a happy little go-lucky dude. There's some cards that are like seriously channeling Muppet energy of an exterior shell with the hand of the universe shoved up inside it. I don't know. I love it. It's a vibrant, like, usually I am turned off by a like aggressive color like this, but in this case it works. It has met me where I am. It tickles my brain. It's tarot. It may look like they're not RWS cards, but they really are. It's like seeing it through a different lens, a fun, silly, goofy lens, and my gosh, do I need that sometimes. So I think this is officially now my silliest deck, and I'm into it. Oh my god, like, the pentacles are smileys. Or like instead of discs or stones or whatever, they're smileys, and the Page of Pentacles is the goof of smileys, and look at him. He's just living. Fool card, very similar energy. And it also, if you take the World card, it lines up with the Fool card in a nice like circular little experience, and that satisfies my little tarot brain too. So good. Anyway, this is a fun one. The Dang Olsen Dream Tarot by Wayne Olsen, and it's so good. Made in the US, printed in the US. It's a little slippy, but I like a slippy deck. You know, I've said from like day one, I don't really care about cardstock. Sometimes I bitch about the US Games cardstock, but that's just because like they should be doing better. They are a mass market publisher. They should know. But indie decks especially, like, if I am drawn to the art, to the image, to the message, to the tarot that is depicted in these cards, I do not give two shits about the cardstock. I will tell you if it is like unusable, but I have never come across a tarot deck that has been unusable. Like, ooh, I can't shuffle it the way I usually do. Like, so it's okay. Like, sometimes you have to make exceptions for decks that you want to use, and that's fine. Like the Luminous Void Tarot, I fumble all over it all the time, but I want to use it because it's beautiful and it has messages for me, and part of that, like me fumbling through like the matte, slippy, weird oval-shaped cards, is part of the experience of using it, right? Like, it gives me a moment to reflect. It's part of the deck's character and personality and how it interacts with me in the world. I shouldn't want it to be something else. And that's like, it's a reflection of how I treat people too. It's like, I meet them where they are. I am not trying to change anybody. I want to experience the way you see life a little bit through your eyes. And I want to enjoy that and share that moment of connection with you. I'm not here trying to say, well, you're not exactly like the kind of person I want you to be, so change. Like, anyway, that's how I view the cardstock conversation, which it's always been around, right? Like, when it comes to reviewing, what we are doing is we are reviewing an object in the material world, but what we really want to do is use it in a spiritual way. So really the like material properties of it are not, they don't hold a lot of weight when it comes to a review. That's why tarot deck reviews are really weird and very subjective and very like all over the board anyway, but the whole point is that we watch them so we can form our own opinion of it and not absorb someone else's opinion of it, right? We just want to experience it a little bit before we take the plunge and try it out on our own. And we're humans and we can make our own decisions. So anyway, that's where I stand on the cardstock debate. You all know, from day one, I've always said I don't really give a crap about cardstock because that's not the point. The point is what's on the cards and how you use them. So sometimes I mention it just to be polite, but like on the whole, it does not matter to me. So just so you know. Like, there's some I like better. A nice linen is great, but it's not a requirement for me to use a tarot deck. There's so many out there, and if there is one that I do find unusable, I will move on. No big deal. Anyway, so there, I gave her a shot. The goof of pentacles for you right there. Or smileys, the goof of smileys. Anyway, that is the Dang Olsen Dream Tarot. Obsessed. My new little silly deck. that this one, again, screams of wanting to be used for Adventure Tarot. It wants to go places. It wants to see the world, this guy. Waggles eyebrows. You know who else wants to see the world? Anywho. Alright, and the last thing, that's all the vibey, that's the vibe right now. I hope you've enjoyed the vibe. The other thing I want to touch on is, since my last Tarot Roundup video, there has been a change in the world of tarot. A shift that I'm sure we could all feel. One of the great pioneers of the way that we, in the modern age, perceive tarot, one of those great figures has left us, has moved on. Rachel Pollack passed away, and it was like, we all kind of could see it coming. There have been updates. We knew her health hasn't been well, but you know, it finally happened, and sadness did come and envelop, but also the gifts that she gave to the tarot community, among other communities, is like insurmountable, and I'm just eternally grateful for everything that she has produced, her decks, her books, her presence online, just being there for people, teaching tarot experientially, letting people know that it isn't just like a rigid system from a book. You can take tarot and make it your own, and I really appreciate that from her so much. 78 Degrees of Wisdom, the Tarot Bible, as we call it, has been a very fundamental book for me in how I learned to approach tarot. And I just am eternally grateful for everything she's contributed, and I just want to say a big thank you. Just throw a big thank you out into the universe, and just, yeah, I just to take a moment to really think about her and everything that she's done, and all the effort and energy she's put into making tarot accessible to everyone, making tarot exciting and new and fresh, and to be the tool that it is for so many people right now. The day she passed away, I went out to the garden center and I bought a plant, and I found the perfect pot to put it in. Anyway, this is my new cactus, and her name's Rachel. And she's living in this beautiful sun pot in my tarot room, and I think of Rachel Pollack every time that I see it. So I want to read you, just to close out this video, I want to read you the last passage from her book, 78 Degrees of Wisdom, just as a little reminder for what tarot is, what tarot could be for you. So before I sign off, let's tuck in. Finally, the practice of tarot reading teaches us something else. We begin over time, always over time, to see the balance of things, the steady harmony with the constant shift and flow of life. We become aware of the strangeness always waiting beyond our ordinary experience. We learn to recognize the gifts we receive from existence and our own responsibility to understand and use them. Most of all, we begin to grasp the truth the tarot always urges upon us, that the universe, the whole universe, lives. And what we can know of ourselves, we can know of everything. The end. So thank you, Rachel. And thank you, everybody here within this wonderful community. Shed a bit of extra love on everybody today for Rachel. And just, you know, share the joy and gratitude for everyone that's here. And, you know, just feel those feelings and be in them. And know that we are blessed to have had a figure such as Rachel in our lives. So thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate it, and I will see all of you fine people in my next video.